Alright. Okay. Record. See. Starting to output fail. Fine. Check the login. See, check the login. If you are using such and such, oh hey, wait, what is her name? Some loser? I don't know. That's the name. That's interesting. But hey, what's up? Happy New Year's, dude. Let's see. Got a little bit of lag there. Let me just continue this. Output. Recording output. I don't know. I gotta like fix it later. But I guess I can't record anything at the moment. That's interesting. Usually it would allow me to record it. Let's see. What could it do? Actually, yeah. I know what we could do. I'm just like stalling it right now. Let's see. I could just get access to online and then we could get some battles in. Knocking over my mic. Get some battles in. Alright, we found a battle. Let's see what we can do here. little bit dangerous. Let's use Poltergeist. I'm gonna use you. And then let's use you. There we go. This be a interesting battle. Yeah, with starts off with the Sylveon. Interesting. Quick attack. Okay. Let's see. Okay, then I'll just baton pass. To my Gyarados. Get a little intimidation off. Goes for Hyper Voice. Hyper Voice shouldn't do that much, but it did a lot. Okay. Special attack boosted. Okay. It did a lot. So, quick attack. Oh no, quick attack. Oh, the quick attack. That sucks. Okay, I can't do anything. I cannot do anything. I wanna swap out. I wanna Shell Smash again. Goes for the Hyper Voice. It's a crit. First body. Hyper Voice. Okay. It sucks. We lost the very good potential Mon here. I'm gonna go for a Flamethrower. I want to really get this Pokemon out of here. I don't want to see it, because it is a danger to my team. Charizard, okay. Well, I guess this is... I want to try to get a boost, and I know this person is gonna Gigantamax, so now we get to see this shiny Gigantamax Charizard, so this is interesting. Ooh, this almost took me out. It almost took me out. Lowering my attack. Interesting. But we should be able to get the boost off. Which is great for me, and I guess we're down to 3 HP. I wanna go ahead and Dynamax, and then once I Dynamax, I know I'm not gonna be able to take this Pokemon out, but yo, it is what it is. Yep, wasn't able to take it out. Not even from a +1. Well, it's neutral. Never mind, it's neutral. I keep forgetting it's neutral because he already lowered my attack earlier. So, that kind of sucks. Oh, and now he gets the speed boost. Yay. That's interesting. He leads off with a quick attack, Sylveon, and a Hyper Voice. Overgrowth. What grass move do you have to have that? Overgrowth. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Okay, let's see what will be another battle, I guess, with a random person online. So this is a 6 versus. Okay. Shoot. How do I? Mine is Team 3. Now, I could possibly set up and then maybe get something done. But he has to still take Pokemon, so I mean, it is saying, is he gonna lead out with his Ferrothorn? That would possibly get me, but with a special Steel type move. Unless he's gonna set up Stealth Rocks. So is the case. But if he has like a special, oh, he starts off with Rotom. Rotom Heat. Okay. I think this is kind of perfect. That's kind of perfect. I don't mind Rotom Heat coming in. I want to stay in. No. I just realized overheat is special, so that sucks. That sucks. I just realized that. I am such a stupid idiot. Oh, I guess we could put in, bring in this guy, Renegigas, and then, just gonna throw some stealth rocks out there. That was a hard way to play. Yo, hi, Bo Warren and Kumra, and Happy New Year's. Let's see what we got here. So he does send out his Thorothorn. He switch out into Thorothorn. Yay, switching out to Thorothorn. It's always good to switch out into Thorothorn. I want to know if I want to switch out or not switch out. Because if I switch out, who would I switch out into? I want to switch out to Rillaboom. What's it? You think we could battle? Yeah, we could battle. After this match, I definitely will battle you. Oh, knocked off by Saltfest. I don't get a boost from Saltfest. That is kind of weird. I swear, that should be a thing though. Not, get a boost off a Saltfest, even though it's not hitting you like as a special. Let's see, because I could do so much here with Boom Burst, but since I'm dealing with a steel poison fairy, I'd rather switch out. Let's switch it into my fairy psychic. Just gonna go for the defog. Okay. That's gonna lower my accuracy, that's fine. Alright, try to see if I can get a drill run. Now if I could land a drill run, that'd be awesome. Goes back into Thorothorn. Interesting. We do land a horn drill run, so that's cool. We get a crit. There's iron bars off. Okay. We're gonna try to go for our horn drill and see if we can land a horn drill. Oh, it voiced the attack. That kind of sucks. Did you complete your Pokédex? No, I have not completed my Pokédex. I need to complete my Pokédex. Hope we can land another horn drill. Please land a horn drill. Ah, and then the paralyze. Well, if I was able to complete it, I would help you. Please land a horn drill. I mean, glad this person doesn't have any like ghost Pokemon that wouldn't get affected by normal type moves, so that's a good thing. But I wish I could land this horn drill. That would be dope. Come on, Rapidash, land a horn drill. That's all I ask for you. Still land a horn drill. Oh my gosh. Come on, Rapidash. Just land a horn drill. That's all I need you to do is land a horn drill. Do you have any shinies? Do you want a trade? I have shinies that I use in my teams, but I do not have like extra shinies. Oh, I got one horn drill off. Nice. Well, here's the thing. I mean, yeah, you could try to help, but there's really no point, and because I'm not trying to complete the Pokédex, and like I said, I am gonna try to eventually complete the Pokédex, but I'm not trying to complete Pokédex at this moment. Right now, I'm kind of just working on competitive things at this point. Withdraws. Oh no, not the size of a toad. Damn, water resort. Freaking. Okay, that's great. Freaking great. Okay. Oh wow, the people are popping fireworks now. Great, that's great. I hate when people pop fireworks because I can hear it in the background. Come on, think your move. Okay, it's gotta bring out his stuff, rocks. That's great. That's great indeed. Now I gotta deal with that. That's super great. Super duper great. Really get some fake out damage. Oh, he does have a freaking. I keep forgetting this Pokemon was his actual ghost type Pokemon. So, I'm gonna go for a Leech Seed. He's gonna get a Shadow Ball off. That sucks. But it is what it is. It happens. feel like switching out. We're gonna go into our Gengar and see what our Gengar could do here. Hopefully nothing too serious. Okay, I keep forgetting that's the thing, Shadow Ball. So no matter what Pokemon I kind of go into, Shadow Ball is gonna still hit hard and do damage to me. Great. And I think this thing is faster. Well, wait, what speed? How much speed does Renegigas have anyway? I will have to like literally look that up. Let's see. I'm pretty sure I'm faster than Renegade. I'm pretty sure Renegade is a little bit faster than. Just trying to see. Oh no, I'm not faster. I'm slower. Yeah, I'm definitely slower. Oh, that sucks. That just literally sucks. Okay, there's nothing I can do. I could go for a hex, but there's nothing I can do. But I do have like the weakness thing on there, so that berry will help. Again, it's gonna take time to trade because, like I said, I don't have as many Pokemon as I need to have to really do trades like that, and I don't think you're gonna sit there and do trading. You know, that's another reason why I feel like that's kind of a waste of time, because that's literally all we're gonna be doing is trading, and I wouldn't have time to do trading because of the fact how long it's gonna do. I don't have every single Pokemon added to this game. I barely make any Pokemon or caught any Pokemon. I barely even caught any Pokemon to really be doing trades. That's what I'm just saying. I'm just saying that, yeah, cool, but I haven't really caught anything to really like fill up the Pokédex just to be like trading out Pokemon that you might don't have. You know, because if I trade Pokemon that you don't have, what about the Pokemon that I need? You know, because you might trade Pokemon that I need, but that's a lot of Pokemon to trade over and then trade back and then trade over and then trade back and then trade over and then trade back. I'm just giving you an example of this is the reason why I feel like I can't really do anything, because of the trade for and trade back, trade for, trade back, trade for, trade back. Yes, you're gonna get everything that you need, but it's gonna take longer for me to get whatever I need, because again, trade for, trade back. Yeah. Yeah. It looks like it's a losing battle here. There's nothing I could really do against this matchup. I'm just gonna forfeit. He put me on a very tough spot. Like I said, we could battle, but like I said, I barely did any like catching at all, and that's why I'm not trying to do any stuff like that, because I barely even caught as many Pokemon as I nearly caught. Like, this is what the Pokédex look like as to now. I caught 180 Pokemon That's a lot of Pokemon for half of that, and then just a lot missing. So, you know, I don't have all the Pokemon. I haven't even caught like the main set of Pokemon just to be doing any like concentrates at all. Let's go ahead and do singles battle. The code is gonna be 4560. That'll be the link code right there. So remember, you got that 4560 is the link code. 4560 is the link code. Alright. Let's get it. Let's get it. A battle tower set rules. This is a hard one to choose from. Let's just do this one. Let's just do this one, I guess. Let's go ahead. Go into it. Go into it. I use the same Pokemon. Oh wow. Yeah, that's the Pokemon I wanted to use. Let's see, what did the bunny have? Okay. Okay. Interesting. Most Pokemon are under level. Well, I mean, if you set it to level 50, it should have been like. It shouldn't be a problem. So, I mean, but if it's not set to level 50, then yes, your Pokemon is under level, and you should have set it to level 50. Yep, you should have set it to level 50. I don't know why it wasn't on level 50 when you did that. Thought my Pokemon were like under that level. Hydro Pump? Interesting. I mean, that's why I also had the rule set to like 3v3, but you set it to singles 6. So, I mean, you should have set it to singles 6 level 50 rules instead of singles 6. Like, yeah, I don't know. It was up to you if you did it like that, but should have did it the other way. Gigantamax shiny. Interesting. And it just got one shot at. Okay, shiny right here. That was nice, nice, nice. I'm also good at Gigantamax, or Dynamax, more likely Dynamax, and then try to at least be able to one-shot your Gyarados. There we go. Nice. Alright. Let's see what else happens. Oh, okay, man. I'm going to forfeit so we can set the rules again. Okay. I don't think you should have canceled it, sir. I think all you needed to do was just change rules, and then it would have worked that way. Oh shit, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to get the link first and then and select that. Let me just click and then there we go, and then click singles. After y'all have a rematch. Okay, cool, come on. Definitely camera. We're gonna definitely have our 3v3. So it's gonna be a 6v6 singles, level 50s, and I'm gonna use this team instead of the other team that I just selected. Feels like my throat is. I'm gonna have to probably drink some medicine because I think my throat is really like bothering me, killing me, really killing me right now. Wait, you only choose 4 Pokemon? Oh, you only choose 4 Pokemon. Was that 4 Pokemon? Or was that 5 Pokemon? No, it was 4 Pokemon. Why you choose 4 Pokemon? It was still a single 6v6. Why you do that? Makes no sense. Makes no sense. And there we go with the first flinch of today. And there's the second flinch. There's the third kill of the first kill. This is very interesting. I wonder how I'm gonna come over these particular Pokemon. Just probably flinch it. We can't flinch him. And we got Paralyzed. Yay for Paralyzed. And still not able to attack him head on. That's fine. That is fine. We're gonna send out the awesome water Gyarados here. And we're gonna just set up a nice and relaxed Dragon Dance. while he goes for the Dynamax Trichanatar. It should be not too hard to take the Gyarados out. Especially if I do get a +1 attack and a +1 speed. Max Lightning though. Oh! Coming out with the Max Lightning, and I got the berry on, so the berry should do half of that damage taken away from me. Now we're gonna go for Dynamax ourselves, and then we're gonna go for the Water Ball, the Water Max. And now there's something in my eye. Jeez. Oh my gosh. I hate things when they get in my eye. Okay, I think I got it out. Alright. So, that Water Max move did not do anything. That's interesting. Wow, we're still able to survive wherever that was. So that's a good thing. And now I'm kind of at this moment where I'm at 2 regular speed, and that's not good when I want to be at double speed, or at least 1 boosted speed. And now I'm back at to neutral speed. Alright. Give a max earthquake. Gonna try to stack up Gyarados with a max earthquake. Get Sands on his side. Wow. I said interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. So we have just lost our Gyarados. That sucks. But it's not over yet. Not over yet. It is not over yet. It is not over yet. We're gonna bring in our Phalanx, and hopefully our Phalanx can do something after we get the Disney. And an Earth Power. Probably shouldn't do that much damage. And close combat stab. Should take that out, and we should be good to you. Alright, so now we got Hawlucha. And Hawlucha is a threatening Pokemon. As long as we could close combat stab, we should be fine. And we should just one-shot. Well, we don't one-shot, it's the 2-shot. Okay, that's not bad. Interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so Linux, you did a good job trying to hold on and whatnot, but you you failed me as a Pokemon trainer. You have failed me as a Pokemon trainer. We're gonna low-key pain coming out, and low-key pain is gonna like interesting. We're gonna just go for go for something. Oh my gosh, I forgot this thing outspeeds me. And it avoids the attack. Well, I mean, we should have like the winning kill here. With you gotta go for the bounce. We should be able to survive that and then go for the overdrive. And that would take out the Hulucha. Nice. GG, dude. GG. You literally almost had me there. GG. Alright. So, it's Kumara time. Kumara. It's Kumara time. So, Kumara. Let's get that battle. Let's get that battle, Kumara. You already know the code, Kumara. It's 4560. Let's get it. Kumara. Let's get it. Really? They're still popping fireworks. It's not even 11 o'clock yet. They could get it somewhere else. Might be 11 or 12 o'clock. It's not even 12 o'clock here yet. So just chill. Kumara, if you're still alive, you better be doing the code. You better be getting on this match. Let's go. Alright, Kumara. Battle spot, battle spot, battle spot, battle spot, battle spot, and battle spot. La 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 la. With the goose, yo, actually. With the goose. Gotta bring the goons into this, and yeah, let's do this. Yeah, get that, and interesting situation right here. Alright, interesting situation we got here. Interesting. Very interesting. I wonder to see how you play this team out, Kumara. I would like to see how you play this team out, Kumara. This is very interesting indeed. I mean, if you weren't stream watching, then yeah, it'd be very interesting how you would use this team against me. Okay. Uh, that's gonna be. Whew, that's gonna be a. That's gonna be a. Facial strength. Okay. No, it's a one shot kill. Okay. Uh, that's great. I feel like I choose the wrong team, man. I definitely feel I choose the wrong set of members for this situation. And I'm gonna get body walked. I really am gonna get body walked. And the fact that it's outspeeding all the Pokemon, all two of these Pokemon. I'm pretty sure it's gonna outspeed the last Pokemon too. Just because. Well, I mean, this is a physical Pokemon, so maybe not too much. But either way, I got nothing to really like face it. So we're gonna do. We're gonna get Aurora Bell up. Yeah, I know. Aurora Bell would not work. Okay. So I'm assuming your choice Garth, and because I don't think this thing could actually outspeed me, so I'm pretty sure you are choice Garth, just in case I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure you are choice Garth. I'm hoping you're choice Garth. Yep. Okay. We're gonna get the ice move off. So it should give us our ice face again. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. I don't know how I feel about this. Very interesting indeed. Oh, okay. That's cool. I guess. Go ahead and send out him as a Dynamax as well. Great. Awesome. Kumara. Thanks, Kumara. Thanks for sending out that. It's not gonna do any damage though. But hey, you gonna break my face again? Yeah, you're gonna break my face again. Let's get this ice back on the road and then reclaim our ice face. I'm definitely gonna lose this match. No matter what happens, I'm losing this match. It sucks. It really sucks. Let's see what happens. Another physical move. Okay. Interesting. The only thing I don't like about this, because it didn't make it like it's overpowered, or it could just reclaim the ice face, even though the ice face breaks. So you have to like switch out and then switch it back in just to get its ice face back. Which is kind of stupid in a way. which is kind of stupid. It's really kind of stupid. Like it's Aurora Vela and try to make the Pokemon seem like it's like OP, but it's not OP. Oh, wait, if you still get like a +6, it's kind of OP, but then it's really not at the same time. So, GG Kamura, GG. GG Kamura. GG by dude, GG. Uh, let's see. What can we do now? What can we do now? I feel like everybody keeps getting like a shiny Magikarp. Let's try that. Let's see if we can get ourselves a shiny Magikarp as well. What? Interesting. Alright, actually, yeah, let's just use this regular Ramambi. Oh, so yeah, Scarfish. Yeah, that's what I was assuming. It was Scarf. I didn't know how to handle. Well, see, here's the thing. I didn't have a belly drum. If I had belly drum, maybe it would have been different. If I had belly drum, then you probably would have had like a more of a difficult time with it. But I highly doubt it would have give you any difficult. It might, but it might not. And that depends if you would have broken my face on there. Just because I know, like, if you would have broken the ice face, it would have eventually get it. Because then I would have been faster. Because somehow it like misses the speed when if the faces breaks. But it's like I rather keep the ice on so it can like get more or what, like, how would I say, more physical and non-speedy, or they don't take any damage. But then it's like I also gotta like deal with switching out and not switching out, so I could get the ice face back up. So that would be like the only way I'll be able to survive this situation. I think this is pretty good enough. I think I've been streaming for a good hour or so. I'm definitely gonna give you some medicine because my throat is definitely bothering me. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be streaming. I'm gonna be streaming for like another hour or so, but it's not gonna be on here. It's gonna be on Call of Duty. I'm gonna be doing Black Ops 4. So once I come, that's because I want to do some more battles, but I kind of just want to like do like a more of another chill like Call of Duty thing. So uh, but I feel like I'm gonna be doing more battles when it's more bright and early, and I actually am not trying to fall asleep because I feel like I'm about to fall asleep if I battle more on here. I don't know why. Why? Like I don't know why. Cause it seems like when I battle on like here, it literally gets me to the point where sometimes I kind of like doze off, and I shouldn't be dozing off. I should always keep like a full energy to play this game, especially when battling other you know members here on the stream. But I'd rather be playing Call of Duty. I wanted to stream for a good hour anyway, so this was a good hour of like like four, like we had like four battles. But yeah, just battling with you guys and everything. So it's just very good. It just right now I feel like probably Thursday, since I'm off on a Thursday, I'm not gonna be working on Thursday, so I'll be able to stream with you guys again on Pokemon, and we could get some more battles. Probably more than four. Definitely more than four. And then probably also, and maybe you do a podcast because I really want to get a podcast done because I haven't did a podcast in a while and I need that stuff done. So thank for you guys for coming out to this part of the stream, and I will be streaming Call of Duty right after this. And if you want to stay and join that stream as well, definitely come out to join that stream. See me get my butt handed to me on Call of Duty. If you want, definitely come out and check it out. So see you guys onto that stream. I'll just come right back because I just need to get some medicine. My throat is really killing me. So see you guys on that stream. Bye.